Alright, what's going on again, everybody? This is the second video that I'll be producing tonight on Thursday night, September 30th here. In the previous video, we talked a little bit about the new, or well, not new, but the bill put forth by Democrats to potentially have mandates on, commercial air travel. So if you're trying to go home and visit your parents for the holidays, or have friends and family come into town to your place for the holidays, things might be a little bit restricted. Of course, you might be the kind of person who doesn't want to see your family or friends if they have a certain opinion on mandates and things like that, which affects people too. So that's really unfortunate. We've kind of, had people turn against each other. But we also just getting back to Citrus Valley here, we also extended this trolley line to go through here, up over to here, and then connect back over in this area right here. And I think that turned out really well. So what I'm going to be doing in this video is just kind of completing out this area and doing a couple things like that. And then we're also going to, continue talking about various, let's see here, engineering, philosophical, and political topics. Oh, and that's good. It looks like that road is just going to fit nicely right under the freeway right there. So one thing that I realized, I actually realized this the other week, but then I ended up going to a wedding, and I forgot to address it in the last video, but that's not a big deal because the last video was, packed full of other topics. But one thing that I realized is that I made a mistake in one of my videos. Gotta fact check myself here for a second. And in that video, I was talking about Nicki Minaj, and I confused Nicki Minaj with Cardi B. And if you watched that video, you would have seen that I made a comment to the effect of, conservatives were a little bit critical of the song WAP, W-A-P, and we already know what that stands for, at least most of us do. And I, for some reason, thought that was a Nicki Minaj song, but that is actually a Cardi B song. And so I thought that conservatives had, some issue with Nicki Minaj, but it actually turns out that the real issue was with Cardi B. So sorry about that, Nicki. I appreciate the sentiment, the things that you're doing for the conservative movement, and yeah. But that said, the point that I made in that video still stands, which is that the truth is, on the conservative side of things, there is a little bit of forgiveness. So let's just pretend for a second that it was actually Nicki Minaj that did the WAP song, and then she came out and said something that we actually agreed with. Conservatives would definitely acknowledge that and say, oh, that was a good point. And actually, if you guys are Daily Wire subscribers or members or whatever, there was an episode of of Candace this week, which was actually really interesting. They had I think one of the guys who founded the BLM chapter in New York, I want to say, on the show. And, he said a lot of stuff that was pretty disagreeable, but he was still on the show, and I thought that he was treated, very respectfully. There were a couple moments where the audience was kind of more laughing at him, maybe, than with him. But still, it was a good debate, and I trust that after that show aired, a lot of people in the audience, at least this is my hope, but also my strong suspicion is that a lot of people in the audience, approached him and probably said something to the effect of, we don't agree on every issue, but we really appreciate you coming out here, and there's certain things that you said that maybe, resonated with us in this regard, and, maybe not so much in this other regard, but we can still, respectfully disagree and all that good stuff. And so, that's the one thing I wanted to highlight with that point between Cardi B and Nicki Minaj, which is that, no matter what, I like to think that conservatives are really good at recognizing when, when a good point is made on the other side, and, hopefully, making some concessions, based on that. But all that said, so I wanted to correct that error. I also wanted to give a shout out to one of the people who commented on my previous video, one of my previous videos, TigerBurn81. He says, seeing the videos come out of Australia, New Zealand, Canada, ... I wouldn't have imagined that I'd see Western governments do that to their populations in my lifetime. Yeah, Tiger Burn, that's a good point. And, my response to that is, when I was in college and I was a young lad, and, I had certain political beliefs. I didn't always used to be this conservative. And I'm going to openly admit that when, back in the day, when I wasn't this conservative, I held a lot of opinions that, how do I put this? So I don't want to, why won't this go? I don't want to make anyone out to be, I don't want to make anyone feel bad by saying this if, you are somebody who's still, on a certain side of the political spectrum. But when I look back, the truth of the matter is, I wasn't really thinking about a lot of things. I wasn't really thinking critically about many things. And yeah, so I didn't always used to be on the conservative side of things, but now that I am on the conservative side of things, and I can kind of see, taking a look back at some of the movements that have occurred, throughout, particularly since, since the rise and fall of the Soviet Union, some of the things that have happened in the West. I actually think it's somewhat predictable, honestly, that, Western governments are at the point of doing some of this stuff to their populations. And the reason I say that is because, there really were a lot of, and still are, a lot of socialist and communist sympathizers. Oh gosh, that looks really ugly. We're not going to do that. Think about this for a second. Yeah. And a lot of, taking, Karl Marx as an example, his philosophy was, actually quite popular among a number of people, despite kind of the tragedies that arose from that style of thinking. And so when you look at it from that perspective, it's actually not that surprising that a lot of these people managed to, completely subvert certain institutions and infiltrate certain institutions and end up in, positions of power. And, I say that at the same time, it is It is very surprising because especially in a place like Australia, um, you know, yeah, see, this is what I was talking about. This area is going to look kind of strange. Actually, see how that looks. Yeah, that looks okay. Especially in a place like Australia, which is, you know, a very liberty-minded population for sure. You know, very much like a live and let live, you know, style of self-governance and stuff like that. I mean, they don't have, in Australia, there's not, you know, quite the same freedoms that are enjoyed in America, for sure. But still, you know, a liberty-minded folk, a very, you know, friendly and welcoming group of people. And yeah, I mean, it's surprising on one level, but it's also not from the perspective that, you know, again, there have been quite a few, you know, Marxist and communist kind of sympathizers and apologists. Yeah, so that said, you know, shout out to TigerBurn81 for leaving this comment, and yeah, you know, I mean, it is quite tragic, what has you know, kind of happened in the West lately, especially surrounding the SARS-CoV-2. Let's see, I want that to be residential too. I guess this can be residential as well. Just trying to make sure that I give a good buffer between here and the freeway because of noise, and then also because I want, you know, a lot of high density buildings up here surrounding this this freeway exchange, and let's make sure we got the districts all lined up here correctly. Okay, that's good. Alright, so now that I've corrected Cardi B and given a shout out to someone who commented on the video, and by the way, you know, I really do enjoy it when people comment on the videos, even if it's a comment in disagreement. You know, I appreciate people taking the time. Gosh, that's ugly, huh? I appreciate people taking the time and effort to, you know, at least consider the things that are going on. But now we need to get into, you know, the actual topic that I had in mind. Oh, will this work? Oh, no. Just want to get these. I'm gonna get this trolley track placed here. And why is the slope too steep? Okay, this might look really ugly at first, but what I need to do is I need to flatten this out. And this stuff right here. Yeah, so anyway, on to the topic of the day, and that is the topic of this guy, General Millie. Now, I don't know exactly how General Millie got his rank and title and stuff like that. But so in my industry, there are a lot of people who, as you can imagine, are privy to certain pieces of information that are not entirely transparent to the public. And I'm not bringing that up because I want to toot anyone's horn or make it sound like, you know, certain, you know, brag about special privileges or anything like that with regards to information. I'm bringing that up because if you're somebody who, you know, has access to some of this information, which I would imagine that there are some of you out there who do, who watch this video, you would know, you know, the consequences for breaching some of that sensitive information. You know, the consequences for the common person are very severe. They include, you know, some very serious fines, or even, you know, some time in the federal penitentiary. So there's two things that have happened. Yeah, I was originally going to talk about General Millie, and so let's talk about the first reason why I was going to talk about him here. And this has to do with him essentially, you know, disclosing. So first off, I don't know if this was classified information, you know, that he disclosed, but still, you know, this really doesn't look good. This really doesn't reflect well on him, where you know, he decided that it would be appropriate to you know, basically call up China and, you know, just you know, give away a bunch of what I would consider is, you know, pretty sensitive information and, you know, critical information for you know, United States military operations, and also essentially just tell them that, you know, they have essentially told them that they have an inside guy, you know, if they're having any problems, and with you know, if they end up in any hot water with the U.S. And it just goes to show, like, that, you know, the elites in this progressive establishment just, you know, live by a completely different set of rules than the rest of us, you know. Like, again, as I mentioned, you know, if, like, some common person who has access to such information was to do what Millie did, I mean, they'd be in the federal penitentiary, you know. And what's gonna happen to Millie? Well, absolutely nothing, you know. He's just gonna be able to keep doing his job and, you know, hang out, get paid by the taxpayer, you know, no big deal. Like, oh yeah, was that a bad thing to do? Oh, sorry, bro. So, you know, that was the first thing that he did, which was obviously, you know, sort of frustrating. The second thing now, which just happened recently, is, you know, this guy now, he's getting asked about Afghanistan. And, you know, these guys absolutely should get questioned about Afghanistan, without a doubt. He, you know, he basically just starts saying, him and this other guy are like, oh yeah, like, you know, we totally advised against, like, what happened in Afghanistan, but you know, the president, you know, still can make his decision, and, you know, it's just our friendly opinion to do this, to have you know, this and that happen. And you know, I feel like what's frustrating, one of the things about the Biden administration that has been really lackluster is, you know, the kind of, like, accountability that they're willing to take is pretty much non-existent. You know, it's like, so, you know, and I know people are going to say, well, you know, when Trump was president, he didn't take accountability for anything and whatever. And it's like, well, no, it's actually Trump got blamed for, like, literally anything and everything bad that could ever happen, you know, in life. You know, like, Trump was blamed for. Now, was he the best at, you know, saying, like, oh yeah, you know, like, that was all my fault? You know, no. You know, Trump definitely tried to evade blame. But, you know, the difference here is, you know, he was still slapped around by, you know, the media and the Democrats, like, pretty incessantly about this. But you know, what's happening with the Biden administration is, like, these guys are just, like it seems like every one of them, you know, you've got Kamala Harris with the border and stuff, but you've got all of them basically saying like, oh, you know, not our problem, you know, like it's like Kamala Harris on the border, like, you know, she's like, well, you know, I don't want to get blamed for that, like, and it's like, well, it's, I mean, you might say that, but you are sort of tasked with doing this, and you know, you can't just fall back on the like, oh, you know, they were just trying to give me this job to make me look bad kind of thing. It's like no, you know, you're given a responsibility, and even though it might suck and be hard, you know, you just gotta, sometimes you just gotta do it. You know, that's the way it goes sometimes. Why doesn't it like this? I don't want to have to delete out this road because then it's going to destroy those buildings. That's pretty annoying, but I also don't want this just to be a weird cul-de-sac. And of course, we're going to have to smooth this out as well to get down to the beach nicely. Get rid of that. Let's see here. How are we looking from this angle? Yeah, this looks good. And it'll also be really nice to join it up here as well. Yeah, so, you know, you've got Kamala like, oh, you know, don't make me the fall guy for the border. And then you've got Millie like, oh, don't make me the fall guy for Afghanistan. And then Joe Biden's just there like, wait, what is going on? Like, oh, wait, you said, but they and Corn Pop and, you know, Hairy Legs, and I thought that he said, and my son Hunter is the sweetest little thing, and it's just like, dude, you guys gotta like work this out, man. You know, somebody somewhere has gotta, you know. Oh, this is annoying. Somebody somewhere's got to understand what happened, right? I mean, okay, this looks really weird right here, but it's this is really a pain. Look like through here. Oh, that looks okay. Oh, that does not look okay though. I'm doing that. So yeah, I mean that's just the thought on General Millie right there. It's just kind of like, dude is, you know, betraying important information to the Chinese. And maybe it's worth talking about for a second, like why, you know, I'm one to say that China is definitely an enemy of ours and not a friend. You know, what they do is, you know, they put operatives in the country specifically to, you know, try and get access to some of this important information that's not supposed to be, you know, given away to not even, you know, not even the public, you know, American citizens, but, you know, even to, there's even information that, you know, like certain, like General Millie probably doesn't even know. You know, what China will do is they'll place operatives here in the country to, you know, basically assimilate as best as they can so that they can get access to a lot of this information. And, you know, not only that, they are, you know, pretty good at, you know, we've given them so much of our economy essentially by, you know, having basically everything that anyone could ever want, you know, manufactured in China. You know, they've got. Oh, now it wants to work, huh? They have, you know, a ton of leverage over us, and it's just both economically and, you know, what they're trying to do is strategically position themselves around the world also. With the intent, you know, to essentially have a significant amount of, you know, global influence and domination. Let's see here. Where do I want this school? Right here. That's good. Oh, this building's too big. So is this. But there definitely needs to be... Oh, you know what? It can actually go here. Just this high school randomly on the trolley line. Oh, this doesn't really hit this area, though. Oh, man. See, I wanted to place a high school, so we got an elementary school here, but the high school is just going to hang off the edge here, and I don't really want it to do that. So we'll just leave it over there for now and move it when the time comes. Put some stuff here. Actually, what would be a good idea to put here is like a plaza of some kind, or let's see here. Where is the basketball court? You know, like one of these. Oh, and this is just not the right size either. Oh my gosh, that's so annoying. And it's gonna hang off the edge in just this like really bizarre way. Oh no. Okay, the dog park is the small one. No, not even the dog park? Okay, we'll do this. We'll put 2 dog parks here. And then the rest of this, it's going to be some high density res just building off a cliff. All in this area right here. High density residential. Really forming the coastline here. And now... Ooh, that didn't look good at all. That's horrible. Oh man, this is a really steep cliff that I created right here. And it's super ugly. But may have to deal with that later. So, you know, what I was mentioning is, you know, it just kind of seems like, everyone in the Biden administration is trying to just like kind of throw their hands up and say like, oh well, you know, don't blame me for this, you know, don't blame me for that, and it's you know, it's really a challenge to watch, honestly, because it's like, you know, this is our country, you know, it's like, don't you want to? You must want to take some responsibility for it, right? I mean, don't you, you know, I don't know, it's just, it's strange. I really don't like this high school being here. I'm going to demolish it. It's going to make everyone unhappy, but... Yeah, so that's one thing I want to do is connect this road. it's gonna work like this. So yeah, I mean, it just kind of seems like, you know, these people don't really have any, you know, any love or respect for the country, you know? Like, they're just looking to get there. They're looking to, you know, get their piece of the pie and then just leave. And, you know, that's typically, you know, what happens with, you know, government entities anyway. So, you know, it's kind of like par for the course or whatever. I don't know if this is going to go, you guys. I was excited about it, but the road tool doesn't allow you to make certain tunnels sometimes. I wonder if I try to start. No. Okay, maybe this idea isn't going to work. But, you know, so talking about Kamala Harris on the border, though, I mean, I think it's worth maybe talking a little bit about the border here for a second, and maybe we'll have to talk about it a little bit more later as well. But I was really trying to think to myself, like, so, you know, I'm not a big fan of illegal immigration. You know, legal immigration, that's all good. But illegal immigration is a problem. And I was trying to, reason with myself, rationalize to myself, like, well, why, you know, why do I have such a problem with illegal immigration? And so I started thinking to myself, okay, what are the cons, or what are the pros and the cons of illegal immigration? And I wanted to start off with the good aspects of it. So start trying to think of, like, what are the good aspects of illegal immigration? And it's like, well, I suppose you might say that if somebody is trying to immigrate illegally, you know, maybe they are in some really, I don't know, dire circumstances, and they need to get out of the country quickly, and so maybe it's just nice, you know, it just feels like we're being nice people to take them in. But then that's okay, so, you know, maybe there's that aspect of it. That's good. But, you know, maybe that's oh, sorry guys, I just had something in my eye for a second there. Okay, so that might be one good thing, I guess, is that it makes it feel like we're being sort of nice, although, you know, that's kind of like a double-edged sword, because you know, just because we're being nice to people doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to be nice back. Let's see here. I mean, let's try to think of another pro of another good aspect of illegal immigration. You know, maybe the people who are coming over illegally are gonna work really hard or something. But at the same, I mean, it's hard to imagine they would do that if they're coming over illegally. And, you know, so I try to go through this, and it's like, well, maybe... And really the only thing I can come up with, like, when I think about this a lot is, like, I guess we're just trying to be nice, you know? And I don't really think that that's a great reason. So let's, oh, I'm out of soil. Where am I going to get soil from? So now let's think about the cons of illegal immigration. And, you know, this is an area where it would make sense if, you know, I got in some trouble with YouTube here. So first of all, why is it called illegal immigration? Well, it's called illegal immigration because people are, you know, the very first thing that they do is breaking the law. You know, I mean, you are, you know, not supposed to, if you, you know, cross the border without, you know, having filled out adequate paperwork and stuff like that, you are flouting the law of this country. Now, America is such a good country, you know, especially because it's, you know, so honoring of, you know, law and order, right? And we expect people who come to the country to appreciate that. And you know, that's part of the reason why legal immigration is, you know, such a better route to take, because, you know, if you are coming from another country and you want to legally immigrate, that means that you are already you know, automatically respecting the law, right? Because you want to follow the legal process. So, you know, that's one con of illegal immigration, is the very first thing that's happening is a breach of, you know, essentially fundamentally American principle, right? So what's another con? Well, another con is that, you know, we don't all necessarily share the same value systems with other people around the world. Now, part of our values are law and order. Obviously, we believe in, you know, we believe in freedom to do what one ought to do, not just simply the whims of what someone wants to do at any given moment. We, you know, believe in the principles of hard work and earning your keep, and, you know, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, you know, all those things. And a lot of the people who are coming over illegally, you know, they may be fleeing, you know, some kind of economic hardship or persecution, but they're not coming over here because they want to share in a certain a certain set of values. They're predominantly coming over because, you know, they want some advantage that they'll have here, which they may not necessarily have in their country of origin. And you know, I just it's hard to imagine that, you know, that group of people's, you know, values are going to align with our own. So that's another con. Another con would be, you know, a country is, how do you establish what defines a country? Well, what defines a country is a group of people existing in a specified space. You know, and this may not be like a textbook definition or whatever, but I'm trying to illustrate a point, which is that, you know, we're supposed to be a group of people in a, you know, defined in a defined space, you know, and what defines that space is the border. Um, so if one is illegally able to, you know, just freely and easily illegally cross the border, then, you know, there's a certain sense that we don't really have a defined area of the country anymore, you know, and so it certainly gives this perception that how much higher can this go? Oh, this is the highest. Okay, we're gonna have to do something different with this bike path. I want to get this bike path underneath here and crossing over to the other side. Here, so people can bike, and maybe I don't know if a branch of it will be able to get over there. It might be too hard. It might just have to go straight under here, straight through there. So, you know, if you don't have you know, a defined boundary for the country, you know, you don't really have a country. And so that's one aspect of this as well, is that it's kind of disuniting the United States, in the sense that it's treating the U.S. as if, you know, there isn't any definite boundary that makes it a country. And so that's kind of bad. And so, as you can see, you know, I'm coming up with a lot of cons here, and I can't really think of a lot of pros, you know. Now, on the other hand, you know, we can try to think of what some of the pros are of legal immigration, which I think there are many. First off, you know, if somebody is going through the legal channels, it's very likely that they are interested maybe in working in the U.S. So automatically, right off the bat, there is a guaranteed, you know, usually when you fill out your immigration papers, you're going to fill out a section of, you know, like why you're coming to the U.S., and that reason could be employment, and that is a good thing, right? Because it's already guaranteed that you're making some sort of contribution. Oh, nice, that goes under there. Some sort of contribution to our system. You know, if you are immigrating legally, you probably are doing so. You know, you've probably had a couple different countries to choose from, and you specifically selected the U.S. Out of a number of different countries, and this means that you thought something about the type of values, you know, the values that you want to be a part of in the place that you move. So that's good. Next, you know, you're respecting the you know, establishment and definition of the boundaries of the country. You know, you recognize that you are not going to just come into the country willy-nilly. You know, you're actually going to follow the correct procedures, and so since you're following the correct procedures, you're respecting the values of the nation as well. So when I consider all of that, you know, and I realize I can't really come up with any pros of illegal immigration, it just sort of seems like we should do the best we can to limit illegal immigration. We can certainly try to maximize legal immigration. That's totally fine. I think that the U.S. already does like a pretty good job at that. We take in more legal immigrants than any other country on earth, and Yeah, I realize that sounds like a talking point, but it's just kind of it's the truth. I mean, it's not kind of the truth. It is the truth. I mean, we're very welcoming. Now, a lot of people will say we need to fix, our immigration system, and by fixing it, what we mean is we need to make it easier to get into the country. Well, why do we necessarily need to do that? I mean, I wouldn't agree that you need to make it easier to get into the country. There's a reason why it's hard to get in the country. It's because in America we pursue excellence, and we want excellent people to come to an excellent country, and help it be, help America continue to be a great and prosperous place. And so I think that it should be hard to get into America, just like it should be hard to, become an engineer. It should be hard to pursue, high functioning career positions at reputable companies. It should be a challenge, because if it's not a challenge, then it's not really worthwhile. And I think America is worthwhile. So with that, guys, 45 minutes long. We built out the rest of this downtown area, and I realized now that I was talking the whole time, I didn't even realize, how it was taking shape. This is becoming kind of exactly what I envisioned. I do wish that there was maybe, one more block coming out this way, towards the water, so that there's, a good margin between the freeway and kind of the end of the city. But I actually think the way this is going to work out just fine. And in the next stream, which may be tomorrow night, probably plant some trees in here, and just really make this look like a very dense forested area. And there's a fire going on right here, and there are the fire trucks. Also, I noticed that there was a fire. Oh, I guess it all grew back, but there was a fire here in the Delta Beach Wildlife Refuge, which I didn't notice that happened at the end of the last episode, but it looks like all the trees grew back, so that's good. And you can see we're getting a lot of visitors in this park. I think what I might do with this area over here, because this looks really ugly, we're going to plant some trees along here and then just leave the coastline kind of untouched. But let's take a look at this skyline for a second. I think this looks really, really nice. And so, yeah, we talked about Cardi B and Nicki Minaj and how I got them confused. Talked about General Millie. And we talked about the border issue, and it really is an issue because, like I mentioned in this video, I don't think there's a lot of, pros to illegal immigration. I think there's a lot of good things to be said about legal immigration, but not illegal immigration. That illegal immigration is people just starting off on the wrong foot right away, flouting the laws immediately, and not really having any respect for our values, and then on top of that, getting to take advantage of the generosity of this nation and the generosity of the people in it. Utilizing our tax funds and our welfare systems, and things like that, which are designed to help Americans, citizens of this country. And unfortunately, you can only split the pie so many ways before no one actually gets a good filling piece. So thank you guys for listening and watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Later.